And for some analysis, let's bring in Professor Robert Kelly from the Department of Political Science and Diplomacy at Busan National University. He joins us from Busan in South Korea. Professor Kelly, thank you for joining us. Well, you know, execution for treason is not uncommon in Pyongyang, but this particular execution involved the #2 man in North Korea's military. Are you surprised?
Yes, I am, actually. Someone this high up, if they're being executed, it's not because they fell asleep at something or other. It's because they represent some kind of serious threat to a regime. For a long time, outside analysts have thought that Kim Jong-un, the leader, would have trouble with the North Korean military because he did not go through that institution in any serious way. And it's the military that's the bulwark of the state. So people thought that the military would be unhappy with this new young boy who really didn't know anything about North Korea's institutions. And so we thought that there would be conflict between the two of them, and that looks like what this is.
And we'll talk about more of that conflict a little later, but Professor Kelly, but first, can I ask you, what do you make of this method of execution by anti-aircraft gunner?
It's pretty extreme. I mean, Kim Jong-un is acquiring a reputation for pretty extraordinary brutality. This is not the first time we've heard rumors and discussions about really sort of harsh methods. There was a rumor last year that his uncle had been executed by wild dogs. That turned out to be inaccurate, but you know, the young leader here is certainly acquiring a reputation for harshness. And again, this may reflect the weakness of his position, right, as the new guy in charge, that he has to push back and harshly on potential opponents from the military, from the party, and stuff like that. And so my own guess is that this is sending a signal, right? He's telling everybody, don't mess with me, or this is what happens to you.
And as I mentioned in the intro, intelligence agency says it believes Hyun was also purged for talking back to the young leader. Do you get a sense that internally there does not seem to be any respect for Kim Jong-un within the core and middle levels of the North Korean leadership?
Right. Again, yeah, this is again something of a problem I think that we expected. The two important institutions that hold up the North Korean regime are the military and the party. And most North Korean high officials have gone through one of those two institutions. They've been groomed by them, if you will. And Kim Jong-un didn't go through either of them. He didn't serve in the military at all. He was just sort of suddenly became a four-star general one day when it was decided he would be the successor. He also didn't really go through the party. He did not actually have much exposure to the ideology. He didn't know his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, who really built the ideology, didn't know him terribly well. So we've always assumed that people in the party and the military would actually be quite upset with him, right? And that he would have to sort of lash out at them in order to keep them in line. And that's why that's why my sense is you have so many of these executions. This is the power consolidation phase, and he has a lot of enemies because people didn't know him.
Do you see the young leader's leadership under threat going forward?
I think he will not be able to leave North Korea, and that he will have to be very, very actively managing possible opposition. I think this is the reason why he did not go to the Victory Day celebration in Moscow, which the North Koreans said he might go to for a while, but he skipped. That was a real snub to Putin, but I think he did it because he's afraid of an internal revolt. There have been sort of rumors, there are always rumors in North Korea about sort of like food strikes and labor unrest and stuff like that. So my guess is he's sort of a prisoner of his own palace. I mean, he can't leave, he can't really go very far. He's got to travel with bodyguards all the time because, again, he just didn't come through the grooming institutions. So a lot of, like you said before, middle elites in North Korea, they're like, who is this guy? Why am I listening to him? And so that's why they have to be put in their place.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Professor Kelly, thank you for your views. That was Professor Robert Kelly from Busan National University.